Welcome back to another 100 horror films you gotta check out. This week we're going over The Night of the Hunter. So the first thing I want to say is that the title of this movie is very misleading. I was thinking this is maybe going to be like the Deadliest Game kind of movie where one person is hunting somebody for 24 hours or at least over the night, or some variation of that story, which was not at all what we got. Which isn't a bad thing. I just definitely went into it expecting something else. However, what we got was a 1955 American thriller by the name of Night of the Hunter, based off the 1953 novel of the same name. Both were inspired or influenced by the true story of Harry Powers. Now, I don't know much about Harry Powers. What I do know is that he was an American serial killer who was hanged in Moundsville, West Virginia, which is where two of our characters meet for the first time. Now, these two characters that meet in Moundsville are a very young Peter Graves playing the part of Ben Harper. As soon as his face popped on screen, I knew he looked familiar, but I didn't know where I knew it from. It wasn't until I saw later pictures that I recognized him immediately. The other character that we meet here is Reverend Harry Powell. And this is the character that was based off of Henry Powers. And he was played by Robert Mitchum. The backstory of both of these gentlemen are not particularly good stories, which is why they have met in the Moundsville Penitentiary. Ben Harper had robbed a bank and in the process killed two gentlemen. He made off with $10,000, ran home, and hid it in a place nobody would find it, making his kids swear to never tell anybody about the money or where it was hidden, so that when his son John grew up, he would know how to handle the money. Which is pretty misogynistic, thinking that his wife wouldn't know what to do with 10 grand. And speaking of misogyny, the Reverend Harry Powell is no saint. Ooh, yeah, I really did that. I apologize. The Reverend is a traveling serial killer, finding widows with money, killing them, and making off with the cash. Now, despite the Reverend being a serial killer, he actually gets picked up and sent to jail for stealing a car. Nobody has put two and two together to realize that the killings are done by the Reverend. So his stay at the penitentiary is not as severe as it should be. When Ben and the Reverend meet in the penitentiary, the Reverend finds out about Ben's crime and now puts together when Ben is executed for the murders, he will be leaving behind a widow with $10,000 hidden somewhere on their property. And that begins the major plot of the rest of this movie. When the Reverend shows up in town to offer his condolences to Ben's wife named Willa and their children, John and Pearl, he tells everybody that he worked at the penitentiary as a religious consultant and not that he was actually in for stealing a car. Now, John Harper does not take a liking towards the Reverend at all, and in fact is super suspicious of him. The Reverend tells Willa and John that Ben told him before he passed on that the money was at the bottom of the river tied to a cobblestone. And he could tell from John's reaction that John knew it was a lie because he knew where the money was. The Reverend weasels himself into the family's life, even convincing Willa to marry him to help raise the children. But when Willa's not around, the Reverend begins to interrogate the kids about the money, and when they tell their mother about it, she doesn't listen to them. As a parent who is very open with my children, and I listen to what they say, this drove me absolutely nuts. However, it doesn't take long for Willa to overhear from outside of the house the Reverend interrogating and being quite mean to Pearl. When the Reverend finds out that he's been discovered, it does not end well for Willa. In this scene, they do something that I talked about on Tuesday's review with The Searchers, where it looks like you're about to see something happen, and then it cuts to a different scene, and your mind is left to imagine what happened. In the next scene, we hear a car start up outside and drive away into the distance, where we assume it is either the Reverend escaping or ditching the body. We come to find out it was him getting rid of Willa's body and spreading the rumor that she ran away. A few scenes from now, they show us what happened to Willa, and it really caught me off guard because I had already been lulled into a false sense of security, thinking that they weren't going to show it. And I think subconsciously, I didn't think that movies from this time period showed stuff like that. So when this screen pops up, I was kind of caught off guard, which I guess is good from the director's point of view, if that's what you're trying to do. He completely succeeded. I thought about showing that scene during this review, but I kind of talked myself out of it. Not even that it's really that horrific. I just don't know if that's the image that I want to put up on a YouTube channel that is easily accessible to everybody, kids included. If you want to see the scene, or if you're interested, it's on Amazon Prime. You can watch it for free, and then it's not my fault because I wasn't there. When the children find out that their mom isn't around anymore for whatever reason, they plan an escape. By using their father's old, rowboat, they sail down the river and escape the Reverend, at least for a while. They end up being discovered by a lovely woman named Rachel, who has been taking in orphans and raising them as her own. Very nice lady. Super one of my favorite people. However, the Reverend finds them. Rachel doesn't stand for anybody messing with her kids, and the Reverend is brought to justice. But the end of the film gets a little weird from a storytelling point of view. It seemed to just not click right. It was a very weird ending considering the journey we took to get to it. So I don't know how I feel about the movie afterwards. I was enjoying it while I was watching it, and then at the end, it spun weird, and I don't know how I recovered from it. If you've already seen this, let me know in the comments below if you felt the same way, or if you think I'm completely wrong, because there's a good chance I might be. I'm very curious as to what your thoughts are. With that being said, I want to point out that in 2008, a film magazine called this the second best film of all time, with Citizen Kane being number one. I have to disagree very strongly with both of those picks. I've talked about Citizen Kane in the review of Citizen Kane, that I wasn't really impressed, and I don't understand how or why people would identify with him in that movie. And as for this being the second best, even if it were to end on not a weird switch like it did, it was an okay movie. I've definitely seen better. Even on this list, I think Cat People was way better than The Night of the Hunter. But one tidbit of reference origins, I think, is what I want to call them. The Reverend in this film has love and hate tattooed across his fingers. Now, I know I've seen that maybe in the punk scene or the biker scene or whatever when I was younger, at least in movies or TV shows, but I don't think I've seen any reference to love and hate knuckle tattoos before 1955. If I am wrong and anybody knows of a better origin or a different origin of those, please let me know below, because now I'm really curious about it. And I think without diving into too much detail, because I think I might have even gone long in this video, let's get to the scratching. And here you can even see the love tattoo on the fist. I wonder if the hate hand is going to be behind this. Nope, it looks like him. It looks like him with both of the tattoos they're showing off here. and that is The Night of the Hunter. So that is the scratching off of The Night of the Hunter. Next week, we're going to be doing the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Not going to lie, I am excited about that one. I haven't seen the original, but I did see the remake that came out a few years ago. That might even be a good segue into the Patreon movie review for Monday, doing the remake of Invasion of Body Snatchers. I want to take this time to say thank you very much for everybody who has watched this. Hopefully you hit those buttons down below, hit the notifications and the likes, and leave a comment. I love hearing what you guys have to say. A very big I love you, thank you to my Patreon subscribers. Let me know below if you want to see a movie review about the remake of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And all of their names are going to pop up in just a second. Thank you very much. I love you. Mwah. Later days.